I never imagined I would stand on a TED stage to speak publicly about public governance. For most of my life, I believed deeply in the classical school of civil service, the belief that public servant must remain efficient, anonymous, and neutral. That it is not the face that matters, but the work. Accepting an invitation to give a TED talk was not an easy decision. It was actually a dilemma. Over time, however, I realized something unsettling. Silence, too, can be a form of complicity. In a world dominated by noise, post truth narratives, and optics, the purpose of public governance is increasingly being eclipsed. Even many well intentioned public servants sometimes seem concerned. I feel that this culture of noise and optics is depriving citizens of a clear understanding of what effective governance should look like and of what an ideal public servant ought to be. Hence, I decided to use this opportunity to speak about it. I'm here today also because I believe there is a need and immense value in sharing an effective model of governance, a blueprint that defines how public servants and institutions can serve with excellence. My understanding of effective governance did not come from textbooks, it came from my life. I grew up in a hill settlement in Vijayawada, living among families who worked relentlessly every single day just to survive against overwhelming odds. I lived in an environment where unhygienic conditions and a lack of even basic amenities deprived people of their basic dignity. In that environment, my ambition was simple. I wanted change. I aspired to contribute to a system that prioritized human life at the end of every policy. I was inspired by lessons like Sri S.R. Shankaran, a people's officer who showed that governance, when driven by conscience, can restore dignity. He proved that one committed public servant with a vision could realign an entire system towards justice. With this belief, I was driven to IIT Madras to better equip myself and later pursued a technology job leading into spaces of excellence and opportunity. But even there, I was haunted by a question. Why should efficiency and fairness be considered an exception in governance? Why shouldn't they be the standard? I affirmed then that I would not join the system. I affirmed then that I would not just join the system, I would become a change agent from within. My goal was to take rigors of my insights and apply it to the citizen experience in the state, ensuring that the system works for those who need it the most. In my initial days of service, I had the opportunity to visit nations like Singapore, Estonia, and Finland. These nations have achieved something so profound through the strength of their systems. They showed me that a developed nation is a choice made through intentional design. They demonstrated how consistent policy, robust systems, and cutting edge technologies could create high quality infrastructure, better citizen experience, which forms a foundation for a thriving society. Enriched by these experiences and insights from my own work in the field, I developed a broader outlook and clearer insights into effective governance. I perceived that there is a need to bridge the gap between policy on paper and lived reality. I began seeing governance as a service architecture, analyzing if we were to design a developed nation like experience for our citizens today, what would the foundation look like? I have distilled the answer into a 6-point blueprint of effective public governance. Point number one is nothing but citizen experience in service delivery. In every office I have held, I have worked under one clear truth. The citizen is the master. More importantly, the citizen is the paymaster. Every road we build, every school we run, every welfare program we implement, and every salary we draw is funded by the people. Therefore, accountability does not flow only upward through a hierarchy, it flows outward to society. Public service does not exist only in files, training manuals, or speeches. It exists in the moment of service delivery, experience of citizen. Hence, I believe citizen experience is the most honest measure of public governance. To achieve the best citizen experience in service delivery, we must design systems so seamless that a citizen need not visit any government office to get things done. I've actually seen this in Singapore. This belief shaped initiatives like Namade Kozhikode, a district governance platform characterized by user experience oriented services, hassle free connect with public servants, real time governance and grievance redressal solutions, and more importantly, innovative citizen participation models. We are now trying to scale this up at state level. I believe the entire service delivery and governance ecosystem should be continuously improved, keeping citizen experience in perspective. Point number 2 is proactive citizen welfare governance. Welfare is not charity, it is the restoration of rights. In Estonia, because of the technology architecture that was in place, they could offer a platter of services proactively on mobile as per the specific life moment of a citizen. Consider the extreme poverty eradication program of Government of Kerala. We demonstrated that governance must proactively identify vulnerability and could solve them effectively through mission mode interventions. Similarly, through initiatives like OPAM, which aim to reach the unreached, the district collector and local self-governance institutions conducted programs to directly resolve the grievances of the people at their doorsteps. Such initiatives ensure we reach every nook and corner, making welfare a foundation for human potential. Hence, I feel welfare governance should be proactive, seamless, and should be available to the unreached at their doorsteps. Point number 3 is a plan for mission mode transformation. The developed world will become a faster reality if every public servant leading an institution, a department, or a government has a mission mode transformation program in place with high quality infrastructure. Our programs are best possible citizen experience as goals. This is possible through integrating appropriate policies, systems, people, and technology. This is what I have tried to manifest in the form of mission programs in all departments and organizations where I have worked. Even in disaster management, this approach allowed us to manage most severe situations, such as Great Kerala floods, COVID outbreak, and Wayanad landslides effectively. For instance, we could manage the extremely challenging COVID outbreaks with the lowest fatality rate in the country. As you all know, even some of the most developed countries had huge issues managing this. So, if the mission mode approach becomes all pervasive, imagine the level of change that we can achieve. The fourth point is high quality infrastructure. Visuals of high quality infra and landscape in Finland and Singapore stirred deep thoughts in me, whether it's possible to create such experiences back home. I believe it's possible if every rupee spent on infra is spent meeting utmost quality and high design standards. We experimented this and successfully implemented in multiple experience destination projects in Kozhikode and in Wayanad. Even for the residents of Udayam, a project designed for rehabilitation of the most vulnerable in the society, that is the destitutes and the street dwellers, we created the best possible living facilities. Now imagine having a universal design standard made mandatorily applicable and implemented for the entire public space. Fifth point, technology-enabled mission programs. Toughest of the missions can be executed with ease through adoption of technology. Let's take an example of total digital transformation of public hospitals. Successful implementation of e-health in crowded public hospitals was always considered extremely difficult in the country. But we took this up, and by emphasizing on user centricity in building e-health solution, we could totally solve the problem of crowded OPs. It replaced chaotic queues with electronic health records, transforming a stressful hospital visit into an experience of order and care. Similarly, through Endabhumi, India's first end-to-end digital survey solution, we provided a national model for one of the India's oldest administrative puzzles, that is comprehensive modernization of land administration. Technology is truly a great enabler always, and its adoption in appropriate form should happen by default. Finally, my sixth point is a centrality of local self-governance. Empowerment of local self governments is one of the most important reasons for the exemplary social progress that we see in Kerala. We can now see a newer dimension of mission mode collaboration between departments and local self government institutions to conceive and effectively implement major development programs. This governance approach is worth replicating across the country to make development truly inclusive, deep rooted, and of high quality. These six components are not abstract ideas or aspirational slogans. They are principles tested in the field, shaped by experience, and refined through practice. Together, they form a single truth. Effective governance is not about power, visibility, or control. It is about responsibility, systems, and outcome. And this brings back me to the classical school of civil service. I continue to believe in it deeply, but I have faced a conflict. The belief in anonymity versus the urge to sensitize. My purpose was to provide the answer. The only way to combat self serving narratives is to demonstrate through real work and shared truth what true public service is. So, as we look ahead, I leave you with a dual call to action, a pathway every public servant and every citizen plays their part. To public servants, let us realize our true purpose. We are servants of the public. Let's be accountable and transparent, and let us manifest the transformation. And to citizens, you are the master. You pay the taxes. You must be aware of your rights. Do not just hope for change. Demand the service and the quality you deserve. Demand an ideal public servant who serves with dignity. My journey so far made me realize one thing. We shouldn't wait for external forces to implement changes. The solution is not elsewhere. The solution is within us. And to be more specific, it is within our systems, within our conviction, and within the fundamental contract between the servant and the public. The solution is truly within. Thank you.